perfect. All right, we will go ahead and kick it off. Again, thank you for bearing with us while we work through some technical difficulties getting this started today. But welcome to our very first Property Intel Power Hour. This is a new kind of customer education segment that we're doing to just try to bring you guys more value. We're going to talk through the 100 Days of Hell, the kind of different pains and struggles that it brings to your businesses. We're going to talk PI Complete. And then we have a guest speaker here today joining us to share real world experiences. And then we'll go through a demo and some example projects, and of course, have some time at the end for some questions. So we know how intense this peak season can be, and we thank you for taking an hour out of your very, very busy days right now to join us to learn. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off. We've got our usual gang here today. I'm Kelsey, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Property Intel. We have Joshua Martin, Principal Product Manager, and Matt Davis, PI Complete Project Coordinator. So throughout the webinar, if you guys have any questions, feel free to use that chat or the Q&A down in the Zoom controls. We can address questions as they come up throughout the webinar or during the time at the end. So like I said, today for our agenda, we will be covering the struggles encountered during the 100 Days of Hell. Then we'll talk about how PI Complete can address those and help you through this busy season. We have our guest speaker, Katie Clark from Schill, here to talk about her experience with PI Complete, and then again, demo examples and Q&A time. So first, jumping into the 100 Days of Hell, we know you're already in the thick of it with spring cleanups and maintenance contracts beginning. So we're going to try to keep this as short and sweet for you as possible. Jumping in. So while many of the challenges that you are experiencing this spring are present all year long, the pressure and the demands of this season can really make these issues more apparent. So things like your overwhelming workload, complex scheduling, estimating struggles, labor shortages, etc. We know that you are dealing with these things all year long, but just with the sheer volume of work during this time of year, these things really start to compound and become a bigger issue. So three that I want to touch on specifically here is the overwhelming workload. So just again, with that volume of work that you are experiencing during this time of year, managing many projects simultaneously, long hours, and just the pressures to keep up can lead to the burnout of your crews, decreased efficiency, and potentially upset customers, depending on how these problems can come about. So with that overwhelming workload, then you have complex scheduling, issues with coordinating crews, equipment, your materials across all of your job sites, the logistics of that becoming more apparent when you are in this super busy time. And then you're estimating bottlenecks, and this is where we'll specifically touch on today with PI Complete. So just that big influx of new projects for this time of year, demanding a lot of quick and accurate estimates for your customers and your prospects. Your manual PI Complete measurements, while they are faster than doing like wheel measurements out in person or using other tools, they are still a bit time consuming. So that's where we have PI Complete in to help alleviate some of that stress. Excuse me. So PI Complete, we want to be your peak season solution. So what that means for you is more efficient measurements, streamlined estimating, faster takeoffs, better project management, increased accuracy and reduced errors, higher win rates, and better job site organization. So again, too, that I want to touch on here, streamlined estimating is where PI Complete is really going to shine and help out your team. So if you have not used PI Complete before, just to give you a quick rundown before we jump into Matt's demo in a little bit, PI Complete, we have a team of internal trained estimators that you submit your requests to. And then our estimators measure those sites for you, deliver the measurements to your account. And that frees up your estimators to be able to focus on closing more deals instead of manually measuring, or just being able to increase the amount of takeoffs that you're able to complete, and then increase the amount of jobs you can win, and really help your company grow. So that's going to lead to more efficient management as well, for your projects, giving you the tools that you need to more effectively plan the work, create good schedules, and properly allocate your crews to those properties. So now I want to jump into real world experiences, and I'd like to welcome Katie Clark from Schill Landscaping. She is a sales estimator, contract administrator that has been with the industry since 2003. Katie, how are you doing today? Looks like we lost your audio again.
Oh, I just can't get used to this. I'm not a technology person.
We're good. We got
Can
you
you
back.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Yes, I'll grab my notes here. So, I worked for my dad for years and years, and he sold to Schill Grounds Management in April of 21. I was his office manager. We used QuickBooks. They measured with a wheel. They used Go Eilon. Nobody had patience, so it was all, half-assed and stufful. The comparison of a PropertyIntel measurement and a measurement from one of the account managers is just, there's no comparison. Our learning to use Aspire literally was hell. We all struggled. I hated it. I loved my QuickBooks, and because I knew it. I don't do well with change, but as I learned it, it's cool, and it wasn't as bad as I had in my brain it was, I guess. So as Schill grew and they acquired more locations, my job that I did for my dad didn't exist anymore because we have Aspire, and all billing was moved to this place and all accounts receivable was moved here. So there was literally nothing for me to do. I was sitting in an office all day long, just like, hey, what do I do today? It was so awful. So this position was presented to me, and I thought when they called me in that I was going to be losing my job. Because I was doing nothing. I was getting paid to sit and do nothing all day. And they explained this job, and I thought, heck yeah. I mean, I'm very crafty. I love to do stuff. So I thought that would be really cool. So throughout the time, we have developed a procedure of the business developer, account manager, whoever's requesting the measurement, they create an issue within Aspire, tag me and typically the branch manager, and anyone else that needs to be in on it. They upload a copy of the property with property boundaries so that I know what to mark. Anything special they need, they let me know. And I submit it. I'm very particular about my markings and what I'm measuring. Because I want it to come back correct. Once that map comes back, I put the takeoffs in and attach a copy of the measurements along with the map onto the property page. So everything's there, and then I create the contracts. I have a couple business developers that prefer to create their own contracts, so I just let them know their takeoffs are in. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Help me get him. And sorry.
No problem. It's not too bad on our side. Come through.
Okay, good. Yeah, I create the contracts. Now, as for, I have no idea if we win. They don't tell me. I don't know. But I have gotten a lot of feedback from our account managers and our business developers. They love it. At first, they pushed back because they were losing control of what they were doing. But now they love it because they're just like, they throw it to me, I get it done, and it's typically done less than 24 hours, and they love it. Love it. There will be times that I have to email Matt.
I was gonna say
There will be times that I have to like reach out to Matt and say, hey, they need this by like tomorrow morning, and he's like, I'll see what I can do. And without fail, it's back nice and early in the morning, and it makes these people, they're so happy. So, but my number one rule with all of them is they have to submit, when they submit their request, they have to give me property boundaries, because while when you pull up PropertyIntel and you create your, like you open it up, it gives like what it assumes is, but sometimes it's not correct. And so yeah, it's a really neat tool, and I love it. And I love that the two systems work together. I had to kind of finagle. I put in my own options, like I do because the way our takeoffs are, they just work off of total turf, total string trim, and total bed, total pavement. So there's not a separation for like tree rings and mulch beds, and it's all one number. So I just type that in, and you guys are really good about making sure that's done right, and it's awesome. So now I can do the takeoffs from inside PropertyIntel, whereas I couldn't do that before. I figured out give me a total number. It's awesome.
That's great. And I know you said like they don't tell you if they win or not, but something that I actually realized today was you guys won the contract at my apartment complex. So Schill is actually outside doing their first maintenance today. So I have to probably attribute it to your work and Matt, your team, because we did not have Schill last year. So I thought it was really cool this morning waking up and seeing Schill's mowers out there.
That's funny.
Yeah, real great coincidence today. So Kate, it's great to hear that PropertyIntel Complete has helped you, just be able to do your job a lot more effectively. And I'd love to hear about, over your 20 years in a few different roles in the industry. I'd love to hear about what that 100 Days of Hell has looked like for you, whether it was when you were in your office role or now as an estimator. What does like that volume look like, or what are the kind of struggles that you see during this time of year?
So for me, my busiest was fall. And it was very overwhelming. I can't look, it was just constant, and I couldn't keep up. My daughter was getting married at the same time. So it was like, wah! But, our people know that they expect a 2 to 3 day turnaround. So, and it's for that busy season, because I'm so overwhelmed that I can't get everything in one day. So, but as for within the office, I'm not really sure how, years previous when I was there, as everybody continues to use the system, they learn and they figure out, they get all the benefits from Aspire that we didn't have previously. The scheduling and the ticket, it is really a very cool system. So, while it is hell, it is very beneficial too.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
yeah, absolutely. I actually heard from another customer the other day that they're reframing how they refer to this time of year. They're instead of 100 days of hell, they're calling it the 100 days of hope. Trying to be
Yeah,
more
I like
positive.
it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it sounds like the big thing is just the overwhelming demand on you, just the volume of work and the volume of work on the crews themselves. And Joshua, Matt, with
Mhm.
both of your real world experiences, I invite either of you to share you know, your experience with the 100 days of hell and what that looked like for either of you as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good adage, 100 days of hope, because it is kind of we used to look at it from that way. I mean, from this time of the year, a little bit sooner, kind of my area by by the end of February, things were really kicking off hot and heavy, and so it was just pretty much an all-out sprint from now till, from then till probably about the 4th of July, and so you were working to book work that you were going to end up doing probably over the course of the full year, but then also onboarding new clients as they were coming in, and all those that you had wished would have reached out in January or December, but they decide like everyone else whenever spring hits, and so you're working to follow up with those. So yeah, as we got tools and software implemented to help manage that process, it definitely made things a lot easier and better. I know for me, particularly, it helped to just be able to serve our customers better, being able to get quotes back faster to people who needed quotes and just were looking for that information, and to some measure manage the level of stress I had during this time.
Sure. Yeah, it sounds similar to to Katie saying just being able to have that software to help manage the stress and the workload.
Yeah, mine's similar as well. It's like you try to be proactive throughout the year and trying to get things done, but then everyone wants to wait until the one moment when spring arrives. That's when they're finally out looking at their properties and wanting to do enhancements and getting bids for maintenance as well. But similar to Katie, like when working for a company and we first got into Aspire, that change was difficult going from spreadsheets to going into a system. But then once you do get the process in place, it's like, how did we ever survive before? Um, and then even with having Property Intel on top of that, I never worked in the landscape industry with Property Intel. But if I were to now, it's like, man, that can make things so much faster, save so much time, and allow you to do all those other things that you couldn't do before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that we have you know, you two here, you know, that with your real world experience to be able to share and inform kind of what we're doing with the product and just being able to make sure that we're actually, you know, working to build solutions that are helping our estimators like Katie. I think at this time, I think we are going to wrap up here and then move into the demo for PI Complete and share some examples as well. Katie, is there any last minute thoughts you'd like to leave us with before we move into our next section here?
Sorry, that mute thing. I think the more accurate that I am in my marking of what we want measured, obviously the better you're going to get back.
Yes, we do appreciate you giving us nice, clean lines so we know exactly what you want. It does help us as well know
Yeah,
and not have to try to guess what you're thinking and what you're wanting.
yeah. That's just part of my like analness, I guess. But I want it to be right, and I don't want to have to go back and say, oh, you know, I messed this one up. And there are times it happens. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they don't send me a property map, so I have to guess, and I guess wrong. But for the most part, we do as a company have it down pretty good. So I just say make sure you're marking exactly what you want measured, and it comes back perfect.
Thank you for
Wow.
sharing that as well. And Matt, we can touch on that in your demo as well. The kind of things that you look for as our project coordinator, and then the tip that Katie just shared, so that our other users who are watching the webinar, when they're trying out PI Complete and submitting their requests, that they know how to get back those perfect results that Katie, that you get to benefit from. Awesome. Well, Katie, thank you again. You're welcome to stick around. We have some Q&A time at the end. You're welcome to stick around in case anybody has any questions for you or your experience. But for right now, we are going to jump into Matt's PI Complete demo. So I'm going to stop my share, Matt, if you would like to take over.
Yeah. All right. You see my screen?
Yes, we can now.
Perfect. Move this out of the way. All right, so just real quick, I'll go over, try not to take a lot of time, just like 5 minutes or so. PI Complete, you'll see here on the left tab, PI Complete, this is where you would navigate to make a new request that you want to submit. You can come up here, single request, if you want to do a single request, bulk request. If you're on Enterprise, you'll have this option of being able to upload a spreadsheet to do multiple properties. We'll go ahead and we'll show the flow for the single request. Just click on that. You're going to give it a title. Then you can start typing in the address that you want. It's going to kind of dynamically find what it thinks you want. So it gives you some options here, and this is the one that I want to do. So it shows you a Google picture right here of what the property looks like. We can go ahead and continue to confirm this. And our system's going to go ahead and create this automatic parcel boundary. Sometimes this will be correct. Most of the time it is. Like Katie says, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's completely wrong. You can click on this. You can adjust however you want it. If it's completely wrong, easiest just to go ahead and click delete on your keyboard. Just get it out of there. You can come up here into the tools and do this boundary tool. You can create your own boundary in here. So this is where Katie was talking about where it's good to give us good, clean boundaries. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but just kind of whatever you want us to measure, make sure it falls within the boundary. We'll go out to the road here, and then you can just double click to complete that boundary, and it go ahead and locks it in, tells you how many acres it is over here to the left. One more thing I want to show, if you're doing an HOA, our pricing is done off of the total acreage of the boundary. So a bit like an HOA, we'll say this is an HOA you want to do over here on the left, but you just want to do the common areas. If you just mark the boundaries for those common areas, you can do more than one boundary on the map. So say you want to do this entrance, roadway up here. You want to get this island in there as well. And then we want to do this circle. And then you can do this circle as well. So this is a good way if you have like a HOA or something that has multiple areas that you want us to do, but you don't want to, because if you draw the boundary around the whole thing, we're going to measure out every single one of these homes. So this is one of those things where it's good to give us just the boundaries, the areas that you want us to measure. If it is a big HOA and we are doing the homes, say we're doing the fronts of the homes, but not the backs of the homes, and you don't want to go and cut out all the backs of them, that does make sense where you would do that. And in here, or actually it's going to be further on, but you'll give us a note just to say, don't measure the back of the homes. So that way we know that you don't want us to do that. So we are looking at those notes that you give us. So once you have the boundary selected, we continued on to the features. And here's kind of our standard features. You can check the ones that you want. If you have a specific feature that you want us to do, like maybe you want us to do shrub area, you can put that in here as well. And then once you have all the features that you want selected, you can go ahead and continue on to the details. Here's where you can put in a customer name, property name. You can edit the title if you decided to change that. Tell us what kind of property type it is, with HOA, residential, retail. This is where you put in those comments of not to measure the backyards or anything else that would be important information for us to have. Go ahead and put that in here. You can continue to review. This just kind of summarizes the information. The only kind of new information on here is going to tell you how many credits it utilizes, which is right here. And then if you're ready to submit, you can go ahead and submit, and it's going to tell you to confirm that it's going to use 3 credits, and you can go ahead and submit it. If you want to save it for later, you can come here and save it as a draft. And that's going to switch you back out to the screen. Here we can see that we have our drafts, and we can come back into that at a later date if we want to, and update that information and go through and resubmit this, or submit it the first time if we want to. The other thing I want to show real quick for those that are enterprise users and you have the bulk ordering. Actually, let me back up. Once we get it submitted, it will say submitted. And then when we start working on it, it will say in progress. You'll see the statuses update. And then once it's delivered, it will say delivered. And you can kind of go through and look at the different statuses up here as well. So you can see all your delivered maps in here as well. So then you'll know once you get it back as delivered. You also get an automated email to your email from your account email that will tell you that the new property has been finished and it's been delivered. So that way you can come into the system and check on that. And then looking at the bulk order real quick, just kind of a little bit different of a flow, because you will download a spreadsheet as a template and you put in your information, upload it. Let's do a test bulk just to show that. So I have a spreadsheet here. When you upload, it's going to verify however many properties it is. So it goes through, it does the 13 that were in that spreadsheet. Same thing, select your features that you want, give us any notes that you want. This is going to be for the entirety of all of these properties, so you can't select different features for different properties. If you want to do that, you have to do a single order. This is going to be for everything's going to be the same on this bulk order. We can review. It's going to show you if there's any unverified addresses. You have to take care of those before you can move on to review the properties. You can do that by editing it. If you don't want that one in here, you can delete it. If you see any of these other ones that you don't want in here as well, you can uncheck them. So remove it from your submission. Do it for time's sake. So then we'll just do these 3 that we want to continue with. So we're still going to require you to confirm these boundaries, just because we don't know what the boundaries of these properties are. So you still need to go through and confirm. It's going to give you the parcel boundary like before of what the system depicts that it is. If you don't like it, delete it, create your own. So we'll look at these. So we'll just confirm this one. That one looks good. This boundary looks good. Oh, this one looks like it's extending too far, so we can go ahead and cut that off. Then that one looks good. So now we show they're all confirmed. Gives us how many total acres it is and how many credits it would be as well. So now we can save it as a draft. We can submit this request. It's going to give you another time to tell you how many credits it is. And at this point, you can also, if you one of these, you're like, oh, this one that's 8 credits, I don't want that one. You can take it off of your submission and you can submit the request. Once the requests are submitted, they'll come to our team. Our team will get started on them, and you'll be able to track those statuses as well on the bulk order. And one thing with the bulk order, If you submit 100 properties, it might take us a few days to get those completed. But we will get you back them as we're doing them. We're not going to wait to deliver all of them after the 100 are complete. We might do 50 in one day. You'll get those back, and then you'll get the next 50 the following day. So that's kind of just the overview of the PI complete. Like I said, over here on the left, and then new request, and then kind of the system walks you through that. So if you have any questions, let us know.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for taking us through that and showing us a few different examples on the properties and how to get those requests in. Like Matt said, if you have any questions, we're going to open it up now. Feel free to use the chat or the Q&A. We'll leave it open for a few minutes just to give everyone a chance to ask any questions they might have. And of course, you're welcome to email me or Matt if you have any questions that you think of afterwards. But we would like to, again, thank you for joining us this afternoon, this morning, depending where you're at. Huge thank you to Katie for joining us and being willing to talk about your experiences with PropertyIntel Complete and Aspire and sharing your experience in the field. We do have a question come in, looking for a tool to distinguish between asphalt and concrete. Matt, can you talk about how PI Complete can address that?
Yeah, so we can do that with a PI complete. If you want to select whenever you're doing the features, go ahead and just put those in as custom features as asphalt and concrete, and you might give us a little explanation of what you are wanting. Like I assume asphalt's going to be mainly your parking lots, and then concrete might be your, if it is a concrete parking lot, or maybe it's just the sidewalks and some other concrete pads that might be on the site. But the more information that you can give us, the better.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. Next question, how are PI Complete and Aspire integrated? So I can follow up as well with you directly after this with an actual demo video that you can follow along. But Matt or Joshua, would either of you like to touch on that maybe from a higher level?
So you can start a PI complete request from Aspire. If you go into Aspire and go to that property, and then in that property, you'll click on the, I think it's the three dots in the top upper right-hand corner, the ellipsis, and you'll select takeoffs. And from there, you'll be able to launch PropertyIntel. And then in there, you can actually make a request. There should be an option of a PI complete request, and it should pull in the address automatically, and you can go through the flow that way. And then when you get that project back, it's going to be linked to that property. Or if you want to, you can do this request through PropertyIntel, and you can link it after the effect, kind of doing the same process. You will have to map our features to what your property takeoff features are. So we use turf mulch. You might call it a 60-inch mower that you have to link turf to. So those are the kind of things that you'll have to do manually within PropertyIntel when you're linking. And we do have the knowledge base in PropertyIntel. If you click on that question mark in the bottom right and go to the knowledge base, it does give you a couple different instances on how to link your PropertyIntel map to an Aspire property.
Thanks, Matt. And to our customer who asked that question, I will follow up with you with the links right to those so you have access. But as always, you can also submit a support request for training on that as well if you need more kind of one-on-one time to make sure that that's set up correctly. And Katie knows there was it can be a little difficult to work that integration. But I'm very thankful that Katie is up and running now and benefiting from that. So please feel free to reach out to us again for some one-on-one time if you need it.
Kelsey, we're going to revisit the first question around the concrete and asphalt. There's another option as well that they can use in Property Intel is with Pro Maps. So on a regular project, you can activate Pro Maps for that particular property and the surfaces pack. So those are the AI data layers that come in that we're able to kind of do some of that distinction. And so there is within the surfaces pack for property, there is a distinction between asphalt and concrete. Generally does a pretty good job. Sometimes I think there's some, it might pick up something in the middle of a parking lot that might be sediment, thinking that it's concrete when it may be asphalt. But sometimes it's actually pretty accurate because those end up being like a concrete patch in the middle of a asphalt parking lot. But that is another option if you're looking for something to quickly distinguish between asphalt and concrete, is to use Pro Maps for that property, which is available for advanced and above tiers.
Thanks, Joshua. Let's see. I will leave it open here for another minute or so. I've not had any other questions come in. We will give it just a minute. This recording will be posted on YouTube, and then if you attended today or registered, you will receive a recording emailed to you. Okay, we have one more come in. What is the acreage limitation? I have used ProMaps with surface packs, and it combines both hardscapes, looking for a fine-tune tool after that filter has been used. Joshua, can you talk, or can you make a demo and show us kind of what to do after after a pro map has returned the results, and like reassigning to different groups, splitting the measurements?
Yeah, I can do that. So, yeah, this is the question specifically whenever you're getting ready to activate ProMaps. So, ProMaps is up here. Let me see. I got to share my screen, don't I?
You are shared.
Okay. All right. So ProMaps is up here in the top, where this says Pro. And so you'll see if it's not activated for a map, there'll be a little blue notification icon here. That's just indicating that we do have the data for that particular site. And so you would just click Pro to enable. It does use an additional credit for it, but it's just one credit, and it's not, unlike PI Complete, Pro Maps is just a credit for the site. It doesn't depend upon the acreage. And so it's going to do those site features like I mentioned. It's also going to do a slope visualization for you. And so the first step, so this kind of gets at your question, the acreage size. So there's not a total acreage size. There's an acreage size on the shape. So it's very similar to PI Complete, to where you are going to outline the area that you want to pull in. And so where limits come in because of the data transfer is on these individual shapes can only be 50 acres. So if you have a site that is larger than 50 acres, then you would have to do multiple boundaries. And so you can just kind of butt them up next to each other to do that. But it is like, so the one continuous shape has to be 50 acres, but you can say like this one's 17 acres. So I could have done a 50-acre pass, but then you would have to do multiple 50 acres. And truthfully, it's a lot of data that comes in. So if you, the larger the site, the more performance problems you're going to run into. So if you were trying to pull in 1,000 acres, you're gonna have some issues as well with that, trying to do, like Kelsey's saying, the automated, like transferring those over to fine tune them. So, but just kind of showing, you highlight the area, you hit the submit button, and that's gonna enable it to where now you can turn on the different layers. You can do building footprints, which I'll highlight. There's a couple of different ones within it. So if you expand it out, you can see the ones that you have. If you don't want to see all of them, you can turn off the ones that you want to. So, but so yeah, you can highlight building footprints, swimming pools if it's a residential area, and then the services pack is the one that's got the most of the items. And so we're doing lawn areas. The naturally ends up being something that doesn't have vegetation on it, like you're seeing here, concrete. And then between asphalt and items, there's a couple of different ones you can look at. Sometimes driveway ends up picking up really good results. You also have the road drivable surfaces versus the actual asphalt. So if I just turn off, since the question was around concrete and asphalt, we can look at those two here. So you can kind of see how it's picking up the different pieces of stuff. So zooming in, you can see the distinction. So like I said, it usually does a pretty decent job of picking up where there may be concrete versus asphalt. But then, like you said, it's going to end up being in some areas that's not always exact. So if you're looking to fine tune it a little bit more, we can take, for example, we can take this sidewalks, and I'll show you how to do that. So I could take this concrete, and from my Pro Maps area, when I hover over an item, there's a settings, a little wheel. If I click that, that's going to let me, you can adjust some stuff. Sometimes it makes a difference to adjust the confidence. Sometimes it doesn't. It just depends. But the biggest piece around here is what I can do is I can associate the Pro Maps data layer with an item in my item list over here on the left. And so what that's going to do is going to convert the data layer to a shape that you can then edit. And so I can say, I want to convert this sidewalk, the concrete slab, to my sidewalks, convert item to a layer, and it's going to run it over here into sidewalks. So you can kind of see now I have a quantity populated for my sidewalks. So if I want to turn off then Pro Maps, you can see what that looks like then. So all the sidewalks are now drawn here. So you could have done that with asphalt as well. And then for like cleaning it up, because different things it'll behave differently. You can kind of see how this also picked up all the air conditioning units. So you can use tools like our cutout tool to remove, if you wanted to just remove different areas, that would allow you to, in this case, I'm coming around and it's going to cut out and remove that. So cutout tool is a popular way that people will clean up a lot of this information and try to get it a little bit, you can get cleaner edges, that type of stuff. It looks like this one kind of grabbed a little bit of the building there. That's one way to clean it up. The other is if you have an area that it didn't include. So like in this case, you can kind of see how this little area here wasn't included in the shape. If I turn on sidewalks like I'm going to draw it, then I can toggle on here this merge identical materials. And so what this is going to do is I can just basically draw over any area, and it's going to combine the shapes to my original one. So I can come in and really just kind of pull this area and go over it, double click, finish the drawing, and it's going to combine it all instead of adding multiple layers to it. So using the merge identical material is the best way to go in and clean up, because sometimes sidewalks will do that. Like I said, in asphalt, we'll occasionally do it where, like in this case, where there's a good bit of sediment here, it might not pick that up as asphalt. Turf, we see it as well. Like if there's thin areas of turf, that may not get thrown into the turf layer. So that's kind of how you would work through it to be able to clean it up. I would say it, ProMaps does, it's definitely what we talk about, like it's AI assisted. So gets a lot of the heavyweight lifting done. And you're able, so if you need quick numbers, it's really good for that. If you're kind of fine tuning the map, you can spend some time cleaning it up, but for larger sites, it does save a lot of time. Sometimes smaller stuff like a home may not be as advantageous to use ProMats for because you could measure it probably just as fast. But for larger sites, it can make a difference because it could, even this, looking at all the different sidewalks, if I were to try to go in and measure those, would have taken a good bit of time to work your way through the site.
Awesome. Thanks, Joshua. And then he said, got it. Thank you. Editing the individual takeoff is what I was looking for. And then some additional feedback. The merge tool is great, by the way.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah. And if you need to edit any of the shapes, you can click on them and edit the dots related to them. So the merge can help really well where you can kind of see it's not always super clean straight lines. And so being able to kind of go through and clean up straight lines is really helpful with the merge tool. So yeah, and once a project, if you do PI complete, once a project ends up back in your account, you can do the same amount of editing as well with it.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping in to demo that, Joshua. All right, we are at about time now. If there's any last minute questions. I know we've had some of our guests dropping off as we've gotten more into specific Q&A, but so let us know. But otherwise, you'll be receiving an email from me later this afternoon once we posted the recording. And you can drop in any questions directly to me afterwards if there's anything else that you would like us to address. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Matt and Joshua, for taking us through PI Complete and ProMaps and different scenarios. And thank you again, Katie, for joining us and sharing your feedback and your experience. So with that, I think we will wrap up for the day. Hope everyone has a great day and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.